Welcome, everyone, to another deep dive.
Great to be here.
Today, we're jumping into something really foundational, I think. Excerpts from Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now.
A book that's had a massive impact, really.
Absolutely. And our mission today, if you will, is to explore how Tolle's ideas maybe offer a shortcut. Well, maybe not a shortcut, but a direct path.
A direct path, sounds right. To understanding, to getting free from all that mental noise we live
Yeah,
with.
that constant chatter, and finding a way to a more conscious life. So here's the big question to start us off. What if peace, real joy, what if it isn't out there in the future?
What if it's right here?
Exactly, in this very moment you're in right now.
It's a radical idea, and it ties right back to Tolle's own awakening, doesn't it?
Yeah, tell us about that. It was quite dramatic, wasn't it?
It really was. He talks about being in deep despair, and this thought kept repeating, I cannot live with myself any longer.
Okay.
But then suddenly, he sort of stepped back from the thought. He saw there was an I and a self he couldn't live with. Two different things.
Ah, the observer and the observed.
Precisely. And in that instant, boom, his thinking just stopped. Completely.
Wow.
Replaced by this intense feeling of presence, pure consciousness.
Yeah.
Like seeing the world for the first time, he says, blissful.
That's quite a shift from just noticing a thought, a peculiar thought leading to something so profound.
It really highlights what he means by that voice in the head.
Yeah, let's get into that. Most of us have it, right? This
Yeah.
running commentary. But we don't think we can just stop it.
We don't even realize it's something we can potentially stop. Often. It's
Yeah.
just there. The background noise of our lives.
So what is this voice, according to Tolle? Why is it so important to recognize?
Well, he says almost everyone hears it, sometimes one voice, sometimes like a dialogue, constantly judging, speculating, complaining.
Narrating everything.
Yeah, exactly. And the significance. We unconsciously identify with it. We think that's who we are. We don't realize there's a deeper awareness behind the thoughts.
Which brings us to a really a controversial point Tolle makes. He says the mind, which we usually think of as our greatest asset, is actually the greatest obstacle to enlightenment.
It's a strong statement, a very strong statement.
How does he justify that? Why see the mind as a barrier?
Because fundamentally, when we're lost in that stream of compulsive thinking, we're not present, we're not here. We're trapped in the mind's world.
So what's the alternative? How do we deal with it?
He suggests we start by watching the thinker, just listening to that voice in your head.
Like you're listening to someone else talk.
Kind of, yeah. Impartially, without judgment. And this is key. If you start judging the thoughts, that's just more thinking.
Ah, okay. So just pure observation.
Pure observation. And that simple act, he says, creates distance. It activates a new dimension of consciousness.
A deeper sense of self, like the I that observed his thought.
Exactly. An I am that comes from beyond the mind. And when you witness the thoughts, they start to lose their power over you, naturally.
Okay, this next bit really got my attention. He calls this compulsive thinking an addiction. Why use such a loaded word? Addiction. How does that connect to our sense of self?
Well, think about it. We get our sense of who we are from that stream of thought, from our personal history, our memories, our plans.
Your story.
Our story, exactly. And the ego, which Tolle defines as that false, mind-made self, is terrified of losing that story. It feels like annihilation.
So the ego is this identification with the mind.
Yes.
Yes.
It's a phantom self, he calls it, created by unconsciously identifying with thinking. And this ego, it barely acknowledges the present moment.
Right. It's always looking back or forward.
Always. Keeping the past alive for identity. Who am I without my past? And projecting to the future for fulfillment or salvation, I'll be okay when.
That constant search outside of now.
Which he calls a total reversal of the truth. It makes the egoic mind deeply dysfunctional. It's always seeking, never finding, because it's looking in the wrong place. Or rather, the wrong time.
So if our sense of self is tied up with this ego, this mind identification, what does that mean for, like, intelligence? Dolly says thinking and consciousness aren't the same thing.
Not at all. He sees the dominance of the mind as just a stage in evolution. A necessary one, perhaps, but one we need to move beyond.
And he warns it can become a monster if we don't. Why such a dramatic warning?
Because thinking, when it's not rooted in the broader context of consciousness, becomes distorted. It runs rampant.
How so?
Well, consciousness can exist without thought. Think of deep awareness, intuition. But thought needs consciousness to exist. When consciousness gets completely lost in thought, identified only with thinking, that's That's when you get, well, confusion, conflict, suffering, violence.
Mm.
He argues the collective egoic mind is already the most dangerously insane entity on the planet.
Wow. You mean like collective ideologies and conflicts?
Exactly. Wars, destruction, all rooted in this deep unconsciousness, this identification with mental positions. He thinks our survival literally depends on evolving past this stage.
That's heavy.
Yeah.
And it leads right into how this internal identification creates personal suffering. You mentioned that. Let's talk about the pain body.
Ah, yes, the pain body. It's a really powerful concept.
What is it, essentially?
Essentially, it's the accumulated residue of all the emotional pain you've ever experienced that wasn't fully faced and accepted in the moment it arose.
To old hurts, traumas, sadness, it all sticks around.
It does. It merges together, creating this kind of negative energy field, he says, that lives in your cells, in your mind and body.
An energy field of old pain.
Okay. And it has two modes.
Yeah.
Dormant, just sitting there quietly,
Lying in wait.
pretty much.
Yeah.
And then active. It can get triggered by anything, really. Something someone says, a memory, stress, anything that resonates with its old pain frequency.
Then when it wakes up.
It takes you over. It generates negative thoughts that match its energy, negative feelings. It wants to perpetuate itself. It actually feeds on more pain.
Okay, wait. It feeds on pain. So
Yeah.
does that mean we unconsciously seek out painful situations when the pain body is active?
That's the unsettling implication, isn't it?
Yeah. Are we sort of setting ourselves up, and maybe even others, for more suffering without even realizing it?
In an unconscious state, Tolle says yes. When the pain body's running the show, you're driven to create more drama, more negativity. You might play the victim or the perpetrator or both.
Because the pain body needs that energy.
It needs that frequency to survive.
Yeah.
If you were fully conscious of it, he says, the pattern would dissolve. Because who would consciously choose to suffer?
Right. That makes sense. And this affects how we see things like joy and love, too.
Absolutely. What we often call joy when we're identified with the mind is usually just short-lived pleasure. It depends on external things, getting something, achieving something.
So it has an opposite pain or disappointment when the external thing goes away.
Exactly. It contains the seed of pain.
Mm-hmm.
And love, too, can often be what he calls addictive clinging, neediness, possessiveness, oscillating between attraction and attack when the ego's needs aren't met.
Intense. So true joy, true love.
They arise from a deeper place, from being itself. They are states of consciousness, not dependent on external factors. They have no opposite.
And fear, how does that fit in? He distinguishes it from just, sensible caution.
Yeah, he's very clear. He's not talking about the instinct to pull your hand from a fire. He's talking about psychological fear.
Which is?
The ego's constant underlying fear of death, of annihilation. Because its existence is so fragile, based only on identification with form and thought.
And this affects everything, even arguing.
Even arguing. That compulsive need to be right, to defend your opinion. That's the ego fearing annihilation. If your mental position is attacked, the ego feels like it's being attacked, like it might die if it's wrong.
Wow. So much conflict comes from that, doesn't it?
Huge amounts. Disidentify from the mind, and being right or wrong suddenly doesn't matter to your sense of self. It brings so much peace.
Okay, so we've got the problem. Identification with the mind, the ego, the pain body, living in fear. What's the solution Tolle offers? It seems counterintuitive. End the delusion of time.
It does sound strange at first, yeah. But he argues the mind and psychological time are inseparable. They create each other.
What does he mean by being trapped in time?
It means living almost entirely through memory and anticipation. Your attention is constantly pulled to the past, regrets, resentments, nostalgia, or projecting into the future, anxiety, hope, planning.
And the present moment gets overlooked.
Completely. Or it's seen merely as a means to an end, a stepping stone to some future moment that's supposedly more important, which of course never arrives.
It's always now.
Always. And he points out that spiritual teachers throughout history have always emphasized this. Jesus saying, take no thought for the morrow. Zen masters asking what at this moment is lacking.
Rumi burning up past and future.
They all point to the now as the gateway. The only place where reality actually exists, where God or being or whatever term you use can be found.
I like his distinction between clock time and psychological time. That feels really useful.
It's crucial. Clock time is practical. We need it to schedule appointments, learn from past experiences, set goals. That's fine.
But psychological time.
That's the compulsive dwelling on the past, often with guilt or resentment or projecting into the future. Seeking your identity or salvation there, that's the problem.
And he calls that a mental disease, even linking it to things like destructive ideologies.
Yeah, think about ideologies, communism, extreme nationalism, whatever that claim, the greater good lies in the future.
Right.
That belief is often used to justify horrific suffering now. The end justifies the means. That's psychological time running rampant on a collective level, completely devaluing the present.
So this focus on the now, he says, you can't actually have a problem when you're fully present. How does that work?
A problem, in his terms, means you're mentally dwelling on a situation without any intention or possibility of taking action right now. You're adding it to your story, making it part of your identity.
Making it psychological time.
Exactly. When you're fully present, challenges still arise. Things still need doing. But you deal with them as they come, without the mental burden, the story making. They don't become problems that weigh you down.
Okay, this leads us to surrender, which sounds passive, but he defines it very different.
Very differently. It's not weakness, not giving up or resignation like, oh, I can't do anything.
Accepting the isness.
Accepting the isness of this moment. Whatever is happening right now, internally or externally, allowing it to be without mental judgment or resistance.
He uses that analogy of a flashlight in fog, right?
Yeah, I love that one. Your conscious presence is the flashlight beam. The fog is your complex life situation, full of past and future worries. Surrender is accepting the fog is there, but keeping your attention in the clear beam of the now.
You accept the isness of the fog, but you act from the clear space.
Exactly. You don't resist the moment. And from that place of non-resistance, effective action can arise. It's an inner shift.
An alchemy, he calls it, transmuting suffering into consciousness.
Right. Transmuting base metal into gold. When you change through surrender, your perception changes. And since the outer world is often a reflection of our inner state.
Your world transforms too, because you're interacting with it differently.
Precisely. You're no longer reacting from ego or pain, but responding from presence.
Okay, so how do we actually practice this? How do we access the poured now more readily? He talks about portals. The inner body is a big one.
Yes, the inner body. This is about shifting attention from thinking to feeling the aliveness within your physical body.
Feeling. Exactly.
It might be subtle at first. A tingling, a warmth, a general sense of energy pervading your hands, feet, your whole body. It's about inhabiting your body fully.
And this inner body connects us to the unmanifested. What's that?
The unmanifested is his term for the source of all life. Pure, formless, timeless consciousness, being itself. The inner body is like the doorway, the bridge between your physical form and that deeper reality.
The source of chi, he says. Life energy.
Exactly. And he points out we tap into this unmanifested unconsciously every night in dreamless sleep. That's where we draw vital energy from.
But we can access it consciously, too. What other portals does he mention besides the inner body?
Silence is a key one. Really listening to the silence, not just waiting for the next sound. The space between thoughts, the stillness underneath the noise, and space itself. Becoming aware of the space in a room, for instance, rather than just the objects in it. That nothingness that allows everything else to exist.
Silence and space. External representations of inner stillness.
You got it. They're always available, these portals. You just need to turn our attention towards them.
This next one is, wow. He reframes death as a portal, a final chance for realization.
Yeah, it's a profound perspective. He suggests that at the moment the physical body dies, this portal to the unmanifested opens wide. An experience of light, of peace.
But most people miss it.
If they haven't practiced presence, haven't accessed the unmanifested during their life, they likely carry too much resistance, too much attachment to form. They get pulled back into unconsciousness.
But if you can enter consciously.
Your radiant true nature remains, he says. Pure consciousness. But the personality, the ego, the mind-made self, that dissolves. It's not annihilation of you, but of the false self.
A final liberation.
Potentially, yes.
He also applies all this to relationships. How can they become a spiritual practice, a sadhana, especially since they're often full of ego drama?
That's exactly why they're such a potent practice. He says relationships aren't primarily meant to make us happy, but to make us conscious.
How does that work in practice?
When your partner acts unconsciously from their ego or pain body, instead of reacting with your own ego, you stay present. You hold the space. You be the knowing, as he puts it.
So no judgment, just presence.
Just presence. That non-reaction creates space for potential transformation for both people. It breaks the cycle of unconscious reactivity.
And he mentions the collective female pain body and being an outsider.
Yes, he suggests women carry a significant collective pain from history. Becoming present, especially during challenging times like menstruation, can transmute that pain into awareness. It turns suffering into a potential gateway for enlightenment.
And being an outsider, like being gay, he mentions.
Being outside the mainstream norms can force you to question societal conditioning, to disidentify from rigid roles. That can naturally lead to a higher level of consciousness.
But there's a warning there too, right?
Crucially, yes. The danger is then creating a new identity around being an outsider or around your specific group. That just becomes another ego trap, another form to identify with. The goal is freedom from identification.
It always comes back to that, doesn't it? Disidentification. Realizing that true salvation, as he calls it, isn't future-based.
Not at all. It's not something you achieve later. It's realizing your inherent freedom now. Freedom from fear, suffering, the whole burden of psychological time.
It's about realizing, as he puts it, that you are there already.
Exactly. The mind says, I need time. I need to figure this out first.
Yeah.
Tolle says, no, time is the obstacle. You access freedom by recognizing your presence, your being, right now. You're already there.
Wow. What an incredible journey through the power of now today. We've really unpacked a lot: the ego's illusion, the pain body's grip, and this incredible power of presence, of surrender in the now.
That's powerful stuff. And it connects to that core idea he keeps returning to. All evils are the effect of unconsciousness.
Meaning real change starts within.
Always. The main task isn't trying to fix the world out there first. It's awakening from our own identification with form, with thought, in here.
That inner shift is what creates the outer change.
Inevitably. The world reflects our collective consciousness.
So for everyone listening, here's a final thought to ponder. What if that deep peace Tolle talks about, that joy of being that doesn't depend on anything external, what if it's not some far-off goal?
What if it's accessible right now?
Right now, just by letting go of your story for a moment, dropping the resistance, and just being.
Maybe give it a try. Try watching The Thinker for 60 seconds.
Or listen for the silence between sounds. Just notice what happens, what shifts inside you. It could be the start of something truly transformative.